Hello guys, welcome back to another video of Flashback Flicks. Today, we'll delve into the world of Rumble and recount the story of a young girl and a reluctant monster as they strive to reclaim their town's lost glory. In a world where giant monsters and humans coexist, the most popular sport is monster wrestling. This thrilling spectacle captivates audiences globally, with colossal creatures battling it out in the ring. The sport's history is rich, with legendary figures whose stories have inspired generations. Our story begins in the quaint town of Stoker, once home to the greatest monster wrestling team of all time. The legendary duo consisted of Raburn, an unbeatable monster champion, and his astute coach, Jimbo Coyle. Together, they dominated the sport, winning the coveted big belt 9 times in a row. Their unmatched prowess made them the pride of Stoker, and their legacy was cemented in the town's history. However, their reign came to a tragic end when they were lost at sea during a storm while en route to a championship match. The loss of Raburn and Jimbo left Stoker in a state of despair, and the town's golden era seemed to have ended abruptly. Years passed, and the once vibrant town of Stoker fell into a somber routine. The echoes of the past lingered, and the memories of the glory days seemed to fade with each passing year. However, hope was rekindled when Siggy Marlin, Jimbo's old partner, discovered a promising new monster named Tentacular. Tentacular, a fierce shark-like creature, was set to perform at the very stadium that Jimbo Coyle had built, aiming to claim the prestigious Big Belt and restore the town's lost prestige. As the town prepared for the monumental fight, excitement and anticipation filled the air. Winnie Coyle, Jimbo's only child, shared the town's hope. She walked towards the stadium with the other residents, pausing to look at her father's statue. She wished that her father could witness the event, hoping that Tentacular's victory would bring back the lost glory of Stoker. Inside the stadium, the atmosphere was electric. The commentator, Mac, was ready to narrate the clash of titans, while the crowd eagerly purchased snacks and Tentacular merchandise. The stakes were high, as Tentacular needed to defeat the current champion, King George, a formidable English bulldog, to establish his name in monster wrestling. The fight commenced with great intensity. Tentacular found himself at a disadvantage within minutes, struggling against the seasoned champion. Winnie, watching closely, noticed a crucial detail: King George licked his snout every time he was about to attack. Seizing the opportunity, she rushed down to the ring to inform Tentacular of this observation. Armed with this new knowledge, Tentacular dodged King George's attacks and eventually turned the tide, securing a dramatic victory. The crowd erupted in cheers, celebrating their new champion. In the aftermath of the fight, the town's jubilation turned to shock when Tentacular announced his departure from Stoker. During a post-fight interview with Mark Remy, Tentacular revealed that he was leaving for Slitherpool to pursue greater fame. He stated that remaining in the stadium that belonged to the greatest legend of all time would hinder his quest to become a legend himself. The audience was heartbroken by this unexpected news. Tentacular's trainer, Siggy, accompanied him to their new destination. Before leaving, Tentacular destroyed a sign honoring Raburn and Jimbo, adding insult to injury for the town. The next day, Stoker was in turmoil. Residents, feeling betrayed, destroyed all the tributes they had made for Tentacular. The mayor tried to calm the populace but revealed an even grimmer truth: the town faced financial ruin without the revenue from monster fights. To solve this problem, the mayor had decided to sell the stadium to Jimothy, a businessman who planned to demolish it and build a parking lot. This revelation incited even more anger, especially in Winnie and her mother, for whom the stadium was a cherished symbol of Jimbo's legacy. Determined to save the stadium, Winnie decided to find a new champion for Stoker. She retrieved her father's notebook, filled with his strategies for Raburn's victories, and set out for Pitter. There, she hoped to recruit a new monster to fight for the town. Upon arriving, she headed to an underground arena where monsters brawled for glory and money. She watched as Axe Hammer brutally defeated his opponent. Winnie approached Axe Hammer with an offer to train him, but he mocked her and declined. Other monsters followed suit, doubting her abilities as a trainer. Frustrated and disheartened, Winnie headed to a bar for a soda. She met a young man who had bet all his money on the current fight. If the monster with the horns won, the young man would become rich. As the fight progressed, Winnie recognized one of the fighters as Steve, a monster with a fighting style reminiscent of Raburn. When Winnie decides to approach Steve before the battle is over in an attempt to get rid of her, Steve accidentally knocks out the boar. The referee declares him the winner. The arena owner is furious with Steve because the fight was rigged and he was supposed to lose, but he accidentally won. Now she is demanding the money she lost because of Steve, giving him an ultimatum to return it. Intrigued, she approached Steve after his victory and convinced him to return to Stoker and fight for the town. Steve, who had left Stoker to forge his own path, agreed reluctantly, driven by the need to pay off a debt. Back in Stoker, he was greeted by memories of his father as he entered the unchanged training room. Before leaving, Winnie advises Steve to rest, because tomorrow they will begin training. The next morning, she wakes up Steve, who was asleep in the ring, but he refuses to train. Instead, he asks her to schedule a fight, assuring her that he will take care of everything else. That same week, she arranges a fight with Ramara, a giant and powerful gorilla. She attempts to develop a combat strategy for the match. Initially, Steve resisted, preferring to rely on his instincts. However, after a chaotic first fight, he realized the importance of proper training. Winnie customized the training to suit Steve, discovering that he had a passion for dancing. She integrated dance into their training, improving Steve's agility and footwork. As Steve's skills improved, he began to win fights and attract media attention. During a live interview, Winnie challenged other monsters to fight Steve at Stoker's Stadium. Immediately after the interview, King George's trainer contacts Winnie to schedule a fight with Steve. The aim is to boost King George's confidence, which had been shattered after his loss to Tentacular. Despite their success, the town's future remained uncertain. As they arrive at the stadium, they learn that Jimothy has increased his offer to the mayor. The mayor will be signing the deal at Slitherpool Stadium in the afternoon. However, when they finally get there, it is too late. The mayor has already signed the documents, and only Jimothy's signature is needed to complete the sale. Winnie explains that Stoker no longer needs his financial support because Steve has a fight scheduled against King George. At that moment, Jimothy reveals a report showing that the Bulldog has withdrawn and is no longer part of Monster Wrestling. As Jimothy signs the contract, Tentacular, driven by jealousy of Raburn's legacy, wanted to erase all memories of the former champion. After a week, all the residents gathered around the stadium to bid farewell to their city's long-standing pride. Jimothy and Tentacular were met with boos as they unveiled their plans to convert the area into a parking lot, prompting the crowd to throw food scraps at them. Tentacular activated the bomb meant to demolish the building, but to everyone's astonishment, Steve and Winnie appeared, revealing that Steve had cut the wires to prevent the explosion. Steve then announced that he was Raburn's son, the legendary Monster Wrestling champion, and challenged Tentacular to a duel. He declared that if he survived 3 rounds, Tentacular would have to return the stadium to the residents of Stoker. Tentacular, his pride wounded, accepted the challenge but spitefully threw Jimbo Coy's statue out of town before leaving. With only a few weeks until the big fight, Steve needed to prepare to face the reigning champion. Winnie focused on evasive training, teaching Steve how to dodge attacks rather than defeat his opponent. Steve's training was considered complete when he successfully navigated all the traps and reached Jimbo's statue. For the upcoming duel, Steve needed to neutralize Tentacular's tentacles and avoid his powerful teeth and precise blows. After several days of rigorous training, Steve finally met Winnie's challenge, and she declared him ready for the fight. On the day of the match, the stadium was electric with anticipation. The announcer introduced Steve, Raburn's son, followed by the reigning grand champion, Tentacular. Steve felt a surge of fear, realizing he could never match his father's prowess. Winnie reassured him, saying he only needed to be himself. As the fight began, Tentacular landed a punch on Steve and celebrated prematurely. But Steve quickly got back on his feet and began dancing to dodge the shark's attacks. The first round ended with Tentacular unable to land another hit. Tentacular's trainer, Siggy, then instructed him to use new moves he had recently learned. In the second round, Tentacular mimicked Steve's dancing and used his tentacles to trap him, landing multiple blows before attempting to choke him. The gong signaled the end of the round, but Tentacular refused to release Steve until the referee intervened. Siggy warned Winnie not to let Steve continue, fearing Tentacular's lethal intent. Despite this, Steve insisted on fighting, proposing a new strategy to attack his opponent. In the third round, Steve managed to knock down Tentacular but was quickly ensnared by the shark's tentacles. Breaking free, Steve continued his assault. Tentacular sought guidance from his trainer, but Steve relentlessly attacked. Tentacular regained control and knocked Steve down, but the little monster managed to attach Tentacular's suction cups to the arena's side, delivering a flurry of punches. As Steve prepared to land a final blow, Tentacular distracted him and knocked him unconscious. Both fighters lay on the canvas, but Tentacular began to rise while Steve remained motionless. The crowd clapped rhythmically to rouse Steve, who eventually stood up and mustered the strength for one last punch. Tentacular struggled to stand, and the referee started the count. In a stunning turn of events, Steve was declared the winner. The crowd erupted in celebration as Steve received his well-deserved gold belt. Siggy congratulated Winnie, saying her father would be proud. With the stadium returned to the residents and a new champion crowned, the townspeople celebrated by dancing with Steve on stage. And so, the story of Rumble leaves us with an enduring message: no matter how formidable the challenges we face, with courage and unity, we can reclaim our glory and write our own legends. This has been Recap of Rumble Movie. Hope you guys have liked, and thank you for joining us on this incredible journey. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more exciting stories from Flashback Flicks. See you next time.